They do amazing work. They're amazing healers, and they're just amazing people in general. I love them. And but about a little bit more about YssaH. She says, remembering our original expression that who we are and our biggest mission, we encoded that information in many ways. Unveiling that information, remembering and embodying it is our responsibility, our commitment to that divine source of sovereign nature. There are multiple manners to achieve this. One of them is spiritual tech, but this one through ancient civilizations that would convey through initiation and generations to come to keep primordial seed of cosmic wisdom alive within. Through quantum and plasma technology, I have designed methods to access this information and ignite it within. This information comes from the Ark of Isis, related to the primordial gen and how it unfolds the full potential of multidimensional beings as we are, as a cosmic human race we are. And you can look at, if you want to know more about these, you can go to YssaH's channel. It's I have the link in the description. But YssaH, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rob. Very excited for you having me again and ready to share on these topics. And let's see what else comes through the field.
Yeah. So what are we going to be getting into today?
Well, as you were saying, I think that the implants is a topic that is currently very well. It has been for a while, for a while, people is aware of ET implants, that they are imprinted in us. Some of them physically, some of them energetically, and some of them even are. Let's say I call them expanders, proactive expanders, because actually they are like devices that actually enhance our psionic capabilities, So yeah, I could be sharing about that a little bit in a little bit, like just depending how you want to approach to that topic, you tell me.
Well, yeah. Well, how do these get input into is it through people who are star seeds usually, or is it people like do the ETs pick certain people, or is it in everybody, or and then it has to be activated, or how does it work?
Well, this is a very interesting question. For instance, what I remember, and what I have tuned into the space memory network, like this lattice, the field that interconnects us all, where all the information resides, is that there are implants that are anchored in our energetic body, and they do it like yes, mostly the star seeds, but also to people that is not fully awakened yet, and they are doing it just for testing, trials. It's like when we, like here now, there are some people that take dogs from the street and then put some chips to track them and see how they behave and so forth. Well, those are those kind of implants that are, like generally applied, regardless whether if they're star seeds or not. And there are more complex implants that are anchored due to very specific skills that the person has. And perhaps that's why it's related to interstellar seeds, star seeds. Because, for instance, if in your genetic code you have a specific capability to travel in time, or like you have already developed a lot of psionics, then they like to test that as well to keep, in a specific file and tracking that, So that's another case. And another case is the ones that are generally imprinted in the human holographic vessel, which are the ones that are not that positive. I call them recessive implants, that they are inherently imprinted. And those are located, for instance, in the crown chakra, in the area of the root chakra, around the coccyx and the sacral, and also in the belly button where the navel is, because those are the three main energy receptors that we have in connection with our umbilical cord and with the canal that connects us to the source, to all, and to the planet that we are anchored, or to the matrix that we are anchored. So
I have a
those,
question.
Yeah,
Do
sure,
you
sure.
call them seals? Like, you know how people call them, like, I don't know if you follow Indigo Angel. She calls them seals. They call them like, what was it called? I'm trying to think. J seals, and then there's Jehovah's seals and stuff like that. Do you follow that same line, or do you think there's something different?
Well, I do know that anything that is encrypted and, like set into a very specific boundary, then we could consider it as a seal. However, for me, energetically, how they work, like there are different levels, and seals is one of them. However, for me, how they function is like knots. They're energetic knots. They are creating a knot. They bend the energy, therefore, they don't allow the organic flow of the energy. So then that generates a seal, you know, or a
Yeah.
barrier to connect. Yeah, with the full potential.
Wow.
Um,
So there's actually there's positive implants and there's recessive implants, and it's our job to tap into these, I guess, and like we can access both. I guess we can get rid of the negative ones and we can ignite the positive ones to make better change. I'm guessing.
Exactly. For instance, now, on the other hand, when it comes to these proactive expanders, those are also regardlessly given to the human and encrypted within the human holographic vessel. And those are located in the ventral striatum, which is like the upper forehead, and in the causal chakra here, nearby the fontana, that place, that area in our skull, that when we are born, it is open. And as we continue growing, then it closes. Well, related to that. And also another one, which is in the central part of our brain, where the thalamus is. That creates a trinity that, because for instance, if we go according to universal laws, everything is correspondence, right? You know,
Yeah.
and like as above, as below. So for them to create limits, they also need to compensate it with ways to actually go beyond those limits. Otherwise the reality would have collapsed, like that bubble, like that reality would have collapsed, already. However, if it is sustainable, it is because according to the universal laws, they say, okay, we anchored here three implants, recessive implants. Yet we have to compensate it with another proactive expanders or proactive implants. And then, but it's up to the human whether if he or she activates them or not. We have done our compensation task, So that's when, as you said, where we come and we actually become aware of those proactive expanders and activate them, because actually they have a fundamental purpose in our reality and in our biological structure, for us to accomplish that higher potential in relation to the psionics. Some people liberate them organically, like something happens, like they hit their brain or something, or their brain
Trauma.
goes really swollen,
Yeah.
exactly, and then it activates, and then they start connecting with their psionics and other capabilities. Or when they are neath the bridge to death, like they really or die for a couple of seconds and then come back, that also can activate them.
Wow. That's interesting. And then what kind of abilities would we be looking at when we be able to do if we activate these implants? Would it be like, stuff like telekinesis, telepathy, or is it like unlimited possibilities? Like,
Yes. Look, due to the place where they are located, we are talking about, for instance, here in this area, in the ventral striatum,
by
all
the
the
crown
highness.
chakra, right? I'm sorry.
No, before, it here is the crown chakra, and here, just in front, is the ventral striatum, which is another point. It will
Okay.
be just above your head, above your forehead, above your forehead, here in this
Yeah.
area. So that area is quite connected to hypersensorial activities. For instance, everything that you get to perceive through your six senses or even more, it's merely captured first by your heart, by the neurons in your heart and the pineal gland in your heart. And then, because there is a pineal gland in our heart, it's
There
the,
is. That's interesting.
yeah, it is called the synode, the atrial, the sinoatrial node, the sinoatrial node. And it fulfills the same function that the pineal gland in our brain. So they are quite connected, as well as with the high heart, the thymus. But anyway, so first our heart receives that, and then the neurons that are entangled here in this area of our brain capture that information, and then then it expands to all the rest of the neurons. However, if that expander is not active, then the level of hypersensorial capture that we will deliver, it will be like very low, very low. So the more, then we are talking about a very high level of intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, telekinesis, telepathy, even teleportation, levitation, all those capabilities that you can take a while, in order to master them. It's because you're slowly reactivating or activating for first time those expanders, you know so that can actually happen even faster, when you activate them.
That's interesting because I had like a Kundalini experience, and I was having like a buzzing here in my forehead and in my up here, and I thought it was like my crown and my pineal gland, but it could have been something like an implant, like it would go off at like weird times. It would tingle or buzz, and I don't know what it was, and then when I started getting the pain in my liver, it went away because I was really focused before I got the pain in my liver on activating my abilities. And then
Mm,
when I started getting pain, it like went away. Like I don't know. I guess it stopped it for whatever reason, you know,
mm,
which
mm.
I felt like was a targeted thing, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because that take like drags a lot of attention. When you activate them, it drags a lot of attention. So then it takes like another level of measures in order to keep that your field intact. And for instance, what I do in the courses, because I am giving like the implant recessive implants removal and proactive expanders ignition. What I'm doing is that, for instance, everything that was codified in this artificial matrix, like imagine the movie Matrix and imagine all these codes and numbers and boom patterns, bam, 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 bam. Well, everything that we get to do in this reality, if we are not aware that we are anchoring it from this reality, within this very same simulation, then it's not sustainable. That's why also many people remove their implants and they go back, and because everything is being anchored and configured from the artificial matrix. So it's normal, because the artificial matrix is dictating a very specific algorithm that is so strong due to the level of enhancement that is mostly perpetuated by the unconscious collective, that then it will go back and it will go back and it will go back. And because it's pulsing, it was imprinted, is imagine a very specific rhythm in those coordinates of your brain. So even if you remove it from the chessboard, let's say the artificial matrix chessboard, the alpha force will dictate it to grow again and to regenerate. So if you remove them from from the primordial matrix, from the coordinates and the algorithms of the primordial matrix, which is the matrix, the field that existed before the simulation was created, then you're returning to the origin, and then you're anchoring and planting your seeds from the coordinates of the primordial matrix, which makes it sustainable because you're doing it from the primordial field.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. And one of the things you mentioned is mentioned teleportation and time travel. Is that possible with these? And is that like, do you feel like that's possible? Time travel?
Well, from my experience, I can tell you that teleportation is possible, and even if you can see time travel, let's say, if we go through scales, every time that we go through hypnosis, we are time traveling for our unconscious because we are
Yeah.
going to a timeline. So what's the difference? Of course, the physical body. So that's huge. It's like, for instance, when you have an energetic orgasm, like once you were talking about kundalini, it's different than if you have a physical intercourse. Of course, the potency is different because then you're implicating the physical body. So the difference with doing time travel with the physical body, which I do feel and perceive it's possible, because I have had like different experiences that I won't and I wouldn't, relate them as literally that, yet routing to there, branching into that for sure. So, for instance, the time travel, then you're talking about actually sort of what some monks do, well, and even some of us, that we leave the body, and our body is barely breathing, and then we come back, and then because at some point it seems like we are dead. So then through our plasma body, we're creating this spherical shape that we are traveling, through the space memory network and coming back. Yet the implications for the physical body to do that would be going even to a higher, like creating a portal. And that was surely done in ancient times. The thing is that the level of coherence there was way much higher than what it is now. And this is because how this simulation reality is created is through interferential waves, which is they create the coherence for matter to exist. Like if there is so much matter going on here, it's because they are creating the coherence in the field, and that involves curvature in the space-time. So when the portals in ancient times, to say it somehow existed, is because they were relating big time to the 0 point energy. And the 0 point energy is a high level of coherence. So for me, yeah, that is definitely attainable when you create those portals. And of course, there are also portals that are like naturally there, that they were not created. And that's when you just open the portal, go to another timeline, and then come back.
Wow, that's amazing. And is it easy? I mean, what do we have to do to like open these portals? Like, is it possible for anybody to do it?
Uh, I do know that it is possible for all, because we all have the skills. Like the ones that are in resonance with this is because the information within our body is being called by the resonance and the mirroring to, whoever is, like in this case, me, is saying this information. So whoever feels in resonance with this is because They have the information, they hold those codes. However, it is like a very it is a very precise, like it has a very specific protocol, because then it you can be bringing a lot of things that perhaps you don't want. For instance, the ancient ones, and even now, how you can create portals is by putting mirror to mirror, or even an obsidian mirror to an obsidian mirror, and then doing a very specific sigils, or like codes, and then like you can open portals that way. And for instance, the time that I was in Egypt, I did portals here, and people would in my house would listen to me, speaking in the place where I created a portal. So, but then again, it has a very specific protocol that if you're not aware of what can be being entangled within that wormhole that connects extreme to extreme of the portal, then yeah, you can actually be creating something opposite, and not very resonant or in harmony to your reality.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that. So you sent me some like music to heal to, and it was really interesting. Like, did you want to talk about that and what you did? Because that was fascinating, and that actually helped a lot.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I'm happy that it helped you. I'm sorry, there was someone knocking at the door. It was kind of distracting me. Okay, so now about the frequency. Well, as you know, and as I told you, I spent around 3 years in Egypt, and going to the pyramids and to the temples almost every day, sometimes like for some periods every day. And there was an initiation of my body in many ways, and one of them was precisely my throat, the way I chant. So I know that the frequency that we are all capable to deliver can actually mimetize from the field whatever we want to. That's why also there are women in Russia that can do the sounds of animals, and of things and of drums. That's also my case, like I can tune into the frequency of like very specific technology and replicate that sound, and like imprint in that sound also other kind of frequencies that will stimulate your neuronal field, like brain waves, and then achieve a very specific purpose to that, which in this case what I sent to you, stimulated through the codes, because all those visuals also enhance what the frequency is delivering. And also what I was told is that we are invited to remember the sound of our soul. So there is a very specific tone that only you can do. And when you connect with that tone, you can heal yourself like at many levels, because you are playing the pitch point that your soul recognizes and responds to. For instance, I could stay for hours, like just chanting my soul tone, and have these huge and massive upgrades,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I transmit that through the frequencies.
But how do we do it? How do we tap into our own soul's voice? Like, what? How do we know?
Well, first, like removing shame or shyness. Like you can just be looking at yourself in the mirror and start chanting, for instance. And like,
That was amazing.
or try, like you go, or even higher, like, like you can go through different tones, and whatever makes you feel like you can stay there for hours, even if it's not fully pitch, even if it's not fully harmonic, in harmony. The thing is that you keep on practicing it.
Can I ask you a question? Is this why those Gregorian monks would chant and stuff like that?
Yes, yes, yes. And those chants have a lot of uh, well, it depends on, because the first ones, like, there are different kind of Gregorians. There are ones that have very subliminal messages, like huge subliminal messages.
Good or
Like,
bad?
like, not like, go to church and give yourself to God, give your will to God. Those are one of them.
Yeah.
However, there are also other ones that were more like into the true essence of love, and they do the chants to enhance big time all your neurocortex, and make you leave the body for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you know which ones? And they can assist with really leaving the body. The chance you feel they can.
uh yeah, how you can know that is, for me, how they make you feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes, uh that's why for me it's so 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 important for you to get really intimate with your energy and with yourself, because then you get to know you can get to know your energy. And if at some point you feel that an energy is like invading you, then of course it's not very positive. But if you feel at some point uncomfortable, but then that you are expanding, then it's because it can be activating a memory within you, or like something that you need to transcend. So that's why it's so important for me. This is not a solo manual, like, we get to ride and navigate our own body in a very unique way. We can have like specific parameters that like overall can serve us all. However, when it comes to get into a really full level of expansion, we can only connect with what is better for us. Like the very same example of the soul, like you can be expanded through many tones that you get to listen and really feel that state of bliss. However, it's going to be a different impact than if you get and give yourself the time to connect with your own frequency, because that's an opener. We were talking about portals. Well, let's say that is a huge portal that connects you to your most primordial records. It's like bringing them alive, awakening them.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah. Oh, someone wanted to know, ask if you were going to the conference in Sedona next year. I have it in the description, right? I copied it from the last episode. You are going to be at the Rise of the Guardians conference, right?
Yes, I'm going to be a speaker there, actually.
That's amazing. And what are you going to be
Yes.
talking about?
Well, I will be talking about to use how to map from our geometrical body very specific constellations that are pulsing as circuits, and how they can overlap with very specific ancient sites and ancient technology to bring back that power to our biological structure, and enhancing our levels of plasma, connecting through maps with the stars and many other ways to connect with the space memory network.
Wow, that's so advanced. You're so advanced. Holy heck! Like you're really advanced. Jim is in the chat says resonance, mantra, and vibration. Is that right as well? Like a mantra, like a mantra, like a resonance mantra and vibration.
Yes, yes. For instance, like in everything, if you want to activate a sigil, or if you want to activate a code, or if you want to give a command, for me, it's very important at least to repeat it 3 times. You know, like 3 times in like without a tone, without a specific tone. And then if you do it a mantra, is how subliminal messages function. You know, like even how songs function, you are singing it over and over and over again. So then you are permeating that information in your neuronal pathways, and actually starting to create that. So yes, mantras are super powerful.
Can in your experience, can sigils be beneficial then? Like really beneficial?
Yes, however, I do suggest always that people create their own sigils, and or if they are using one that has been already created, being sure that it comes from the unified consciousness, a unified consciousness, meaning by this that it doesn't have like hidden agendas. Because there is also another thing, like for instance, if you take a sigil from that has been used for a while now, yes, it is super powerful. However, it also have all the imprints that the lack of people has put in them. So you are connecting to that network, you know, inherently you're connecting to that network. So unless you know, like release them from those imprints and just keep the power of the sigil, then like go for it. If not, if you don't want to get too complicated, you know, like just creating your own sigil, and then you know, like codifying it. For instance, I created, and it's not like YssaH created it, you know, like it was, I decoded it from the source. And there are sounds, there are 10 sounds that are virgin sounds because there is no imprint on them. And there are letters, you know, like each letter is a sound, and I use them for all my for all the things that I do, that I want them to do, them connecting with the primordial matrix and not to the whole egregor of the collective, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's an important concept. Yeah. So, when did you first start realizing that you could like tap into the matrix and you could make the matrix work for you? Because a lot of people feel like targeted by the matrix, and you probably heard people. I don't know if you've heard people say that. Like, a lot of people feel targeted. Like some people feel targeted by the matrix itself. Like that like they no matter what they do, something goes wrong. So like you and Sean have found ways to make the matrix work for you. It seems like, and you help other people with that. Like you manipulate the matrix for good. It seems like with like good magic. Is that right? Is that right? Is that right? What I'm saying?
Yes, and you know, like we all have that capability, and I do believe that the first key is to remove, like transcend any rejection to the artificial matrix, because then it generates a magnet that it's going to enhance everything that, you know, like the artificial matrix is sending you, to say it somehow, then it will enhance it. And how I see reality, imagine that before coming to this simulation, there are some codes, algorithms imprinted within our DNA. We call them codons. We call them nucleotides that generate those codons, and you know, like the infinite, or like the many combinations that the nucleotides in our DNA can generate for us to be who we are. You know, for you to have brown eyes and black hair and white skin and so forth, you know, to have a very specific way of communicating and perceiving reality. Well, if we look at that from a biological level, then that's the information that our family transferred to us, from the transgenerational. However, if we look at it at a quantum level, then we will see that those are algorithms, and algorithms that we can get to influence. So first is, detaching from any rejection that we can have for the artificial matrix, because actually this artificial matrix was created, as how I remember it, it was created to sustain this reality, because there cannot be a reality without a matrix, to sustain this reality while the primordial matrix was regenerating after the last cataclysm. So of course it's a simulation. Yes, because it was, like, okay, what can we do? The primordial matrix is collapsing. We messed it up. The timelines are fusioning to one another. So we need to
Yeah.
create another matrix. So then that this artificial matrix was created, and as a simulation, replicating all our memories that we had before the last cataclysm. That's why we are replicating everything that happened, because the base algorithms are related to that. So then if you detach from that rejection, and then you start to connect with the source that transforms it all, which might be touche, but it is, and it's love. And knowing that everything is energy, everything is energy, just at different frequencies. And if you are dealing with a very specific energy and information that you want to shift, and you have tried to shift within you no matter what, when there are many layers to that. And and this is also what I do in my courses, because for instance, there are like toruses that we have in our 13 joints that are normally, like pulsing at a very specific rhythm. However, the control systems are generating a dissonance and a fissure in those torus through the time control system, through time. So every time that we're feeding the Gregorian calendar, like, and to some extent, that is influencing big time our reality.
Wow.
Unless we are aware of that, then we're capable to, even following the same calendar, to not doing it from an attachment, from an unconscious attachment. And for instance, and I'm just mentioning one, but the control systems, the main that are, like could be fissuring the Tauruses, are the political system, the religious, monetary, and the time, as I was saying, just to summarize them. Now you can also see if you have soul parts, of you spread everywhere, and then it's important for you to retrieve that energy, because that can also be influencing your relation to the matrix, because you can say, okay, but I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and regardless, there is no change. So there are many layers to it. And regardless what you do, I always suggest that every configuration that you do it from the primordial matrix. Otherwise, things may come back and come back and come back and come back at you, because that's the way this matrix was configured, to keep to loop all the things that generate attachments to the matter. And how can this, I'm not talking about only tangible things, because perhaps a person can say, yeah, but my problem is not attachment to material things. No, but you are a material object, like for the universe, you are matter. And that attachment translates that your programs, your recessive programs, or the information that can be quite attached to you and that is doing no good to you, is attached to your physics. So the moment that you detach, from even your physics, like generate that process of full love and detaching from this matrix, then you are going beyond the algorithm. You're going beyond the algorithm because you're being the Taurus that brings all the information, transforms it, torsions it, and then gives that feedback to the universe.
I love that. That's interesting. That's how you manipulate. That's how you manipulate this matrix for the better.
Yes, yes, for sure.
That's amazing. Wow. But what I was going to say, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? We still have like 20 minutes. We can cover whatever you'd like. I'm trying to think. Did you want to go over some ET tech or anything like that? I know we were going to talk about that too. Or
Sure. Yeah. Look, for instance, when we talk about ET tech, everything that we get to see, like the pyramids and the temples and everything that science does not fully know how they were created, if we want to know first, if we want to know how they function, we can see our biological structure. For instance, the pyramids, we have pyramidal neurons. We have an inner pyramid here, just below in the area of our solar plexus.
really?
That yeah,
Wow.
here, yeah, I mean like this, and like you can even see the shape. If I show you a shape of the muscle structure of the body, you will see the pyramid here, and it's in the solar plexus. And if you see what the word pyramid means, is pira, which is fire, and myth, which is the center, the pyramid just in the center of the body. So then you can get to actually get along with your mitochondria, create a full network, and then enhance all that power, all that energy, and bring it back in many specific ways that were shown in the glyphs, that were shown in the depictions, in the papyrus, in the codex. Like everywhere there was this information, and the thing is that they inspired from our body, because actually those parts in our body are quite related to the ET biology. The pyramidal neurons, the pyramid in the center, how these pyramids ignite, because also in our thorax, with our ribs, we have different layers of activating other pyramids. So all of that is resemblance to the most, not all of the ET, of course, anatomical structure, yet the ones that are supporting our right here, and which are also ourselves from another timeline, a spatiotemporal constant. So then we have the same, like, fundamental way of igniting our the full potency of our body. For instance, when I was saying, there are some pyramids that are circular, and they can teleport, they can generate ripples in time, and so can we. The huge key on that, again, is the coherence that we have. And love is coherence. And love, actually, if we say what coherent is, when you were talking about, like people having energy coming at them, that it's not very favorable, because we all go through that, even we pass the algorithm, like we are going through things, because everything is just going at a higher scale. If we show that we are, like ready to go to the next level will be more advanced in every way, also perhaps in the level of difficulty. However, our level of perception is the one that is simplified. And for instance, if you talk to your pyramidal neurons, like if really you generate a relationship with them, then they will start talking back to you, because
Yeah.
nature and the universe is like that. For instance, if you have a dog in front of you and you don't pay attention at the dog won't interact with you, and it will just be, like it won't even be part of your memory. However, if you talk and interact with the dog and create a bond, and then a bond, and then start generating a relationship, then you can have a very high level of empathy with the dog, and so are your neurons, and so is your biology, and so is your heart. For instance, our heart does not pump blood. That is what was taught to us, like it's pendulum, it's the pendulum, like going from pole to another pole, going from good to bad, going from good to bad. And if you see, that's how like as a humanity, as a collective, we were taught to do, choose a side, whether you're good or you're bad. Hey, I'm a wholeness, I'm both, I'm dark, I'm darkness, and I'm light, because in the end everything is light. Everything is light, just at different shades of it. So when you start embodying that level of coherence, then it's how magic, how wizards do. The Incas, the Queros in Peru, have this high level of magic that is one of the most accurate magics that you can get to materialize like this in a nick of time. And it's the key is the coherence. Because, for instance, if you say something, you do it. You don't say it and then a week passes and then you shift. And I know it can be hard because there are many things happening. And that's the test of this matrix that creates a lot of interference for you to just go and fulfill, what you said, not because it's a duty, yet because you know how good it's going to make you. For instance, I like a couple of years ago, like when I started this path, I went to a retreat with all this keto magic, and it was all about word and commitment and bam, and practices like, okay, I'm going to drink coffee now, I'm going to breathe now. And you're honoring your word. You are doing as you say. You're doing as you say, and that's abracadabra. That's the big word for magic.
Yeah.
Abracadabra. I
Yeah.
do as I say. So they are doing that all the time. I'm going to stop talking right now. And now I continue talking. So, it's like bam, 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 bam. And by the end of that weekend, I was laughing so hard because I couldn't find the keys of my van. And then I said, okay, you are the cause, not the effect. And then I said, I'm going to find my car keys in 15 minutes. And in 15 minutes, I found them.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. And you all can practice it, because that's creating a
What
field of.
kind of magic is this again? It's the Inca Caros, you said?
Yes, yes, exactly.
I'll have to look
Exactly.
that up. That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I wonder how people were able to do magic so seamlessly, and it's fascinating to me, you know.
It, yes, because those codes are within you. And for instance, other thing about the keros, when they work a lot through the holographic field, but they do it in a very physical and tangible way. How? They create the women that are initiated in this weave fabrics, and those fabrics have an specific numerical values of 13 lines, five like uh, like pathways. They make 20 knots on very specific things, not more, just 20. And we can see this also in the Jewish and Hebrew culture. They do knots, and well, but that's another topic. So anyway, they do the knots, and in every knot, they are giving a command of something that is being anchored. So they're not just weaving, like chatting with the girls and, just doing their thing. And, no, they are truly focused and committed to what they are doing, because they know the impact that they will have, because then that fabric is used by the initiated, the ones that are being initiated, and also the priests, and they unfold their reality from there. It's like you are looking at your reality from above in those fabrics, and then you are just in a very specific way ordering and commanding how your reality will go. And it happens like this, I can tell you. And I'm applying actually uh, some of those of that knowledge and wisdom to the courses that I give, because then again, it's a unified consciousness. For me, it's
Yeah, I
very
was going to say we have a couple minutes left, and do you want to finish up by talking about? You want to tell people how they can get your courses and stuff like that, and how they can sign up for them?
sure. Well, uh, hold on. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, sure. Hold on.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, just something with it's okay. I will take care of it. Speaking of
Are you
which,
being attacked? Are you being attacked right now?
kind of, to say it somehow, I'm just taking care of something. It's okay. It's okay.
I thought you might have been getting like a psychic attack or like a spiritual attack. That's what I sensed. That's what I don't know.
Yeah, well, I've been putting a lot of information now in relation to how to hack the matrix, connecting
Yeah,
with the primordial one. And that is very like, let's say, pristine information. So, but anyway, then again, as I was saying, everything is energy, and then you honor it, and then you see the message behind it, and then you get to transform it and get to alchemize it into the highest potential. So yeah.
yeah,
Well, as you were asking about the courses, I am currently facilitating on the source code, which is your geometrical body, which is how to begin to know how to use your holofractal construction in order to create your reality and to connect with your life mission, resolve your things from the holofractal field. I know it might sound complex. It's not. It's actually, I have transmitted it in a very easy and feasible way for everyone to to connect with that way, and feel capable to perform it in a everyday life basis. Also, and well, your source code is your cosmic fingerprint. So it's the way that you connect with very specific stargates, whether if you're aware or not, portals. It's how you detach from the code bar that you were given in this artificial matrix. There are many prophets from the source code. Like when I translated my source code, I asked for the key to myself, and ever since I translated it, my life was never the same in a very good way. I started evolving like this because it's high tech.
wow.
And yeah, it comes from the sixth and seventh dimension. Also, now the other course is plasma body activation, which is also precisely to restore your psionics, to regenerate, to rejuvenate, to heal yourself, to heal the ones that you love, and more like overall everything that is happening right now with the solar flares and all this plasma coming, from the sun and from Alcyon, since we enter the photon belt. If we don't if we don't use that plasma, then we start to develop like pathologies, and we can start, like perhaps people could start developing, like very specific symptoms, and like feeling that the energy is striking you instead of, like feeling raised through the energy. Because when we start to talk plasma language, to say it somehow, then the plasma that is coming from the solar flares and the plasma that is interconnecting the whole universe says, hey, look, he or she speaks our language. Okay, then let's grow this network. And then they are supplying you from infinite energy and much more. um
Wow.
yeah, and I do believe that it's imperant for the next step in humanity. I know that people will start igniting their light body for sure. It's part of the fifth dimension, the fifth density for sure. So another thing, and like a workshop on implants removal, and the proactive expanders, to activate them so that you can connect with your psionic capabilities. Memory also very important. Memory is like, it generates a big impact on your memory activating these implants. And also because I do it in a way that it involves the tree of life, the full one. And that's a huge encoding of information that was in relation to amnesia, that is encrypted in the tree of life. So when you unfold it, then you're also getting rid of the amnesia.
Wow. This is amazing. Well, do you want to tell? I got to do another show, but do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, Isha? And thank you so much for doing this. This was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel it this way. Thank you for having me. I had a really good time. Thank you, Rob, for
This
everything
was
that you're
awesome. This really was. I think everybody liked this too, as well. You know.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, like they can write to omnivision.hunuch@outlook.com. My Facebook, Isha Ars Lib, and my YouTube channel, Isha Arsate Libien, and also my Instagram. And by the end of the year, my website will be finished. So awesome. And then you will have another way to contact me. And yeah, I really thank you, Rob, for everything that you're doing. You are such a brave soul and truly committed to this mission that you have accepted at this moment of your reality. So thank you for creating all that network that you're creating. I honor you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It feels great to, I thank you. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate what you and Sean do. You guys are amazing. I love you guys, like,
I love you too.
you guys like do like real magic, it's amazing. So yeah. And I'd love to have you guys back on again. I'd love to have you on again,
Sure.
and yeah. All right. Thanks, Isha.
Thanks, Rob. Until
All
next
right,
time.
have a good
See
night. All
you.
right, I'll be right back, guys. I have Eve Howard coming on next, and that's my last show for the night. And then I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, thanks.